Welcome to Your Money Guides, brought to you by Interface Financial Planning.
It's never too late to have a financial plan in place. This true client story is about Geraldine. Alan first met Geraldine in 1996 when she was 79 years young. The meeting was about doing some financial planning. Now, it doesn't matter what age you are in life. If you haven't started financial planning yet, you can still do it. And this story is a good example of that. So obviously Geraldine wasn't that young, but she still wanted to enjoy the rest of her life, and Alan was lucky enough to look after Geraldine's finances for the last 10 years of her life, making an enormous difference to her finances and therefore allowing her to do all the things that she used to only dream about. When Geraldine first went to meet Alan, she'd recently been widowed and she had no children. Also, her brother had died the previous year. While she had nieces and nephews, they all lived quite a long way away, so she didn't have much family around her. After her husband's death, Geraldine found stacks of paperwork relating to their finances as a couple. She couldn't make head or tail of it, so she left it in bags where it gathered dust. Alan used to visit Geraldine in her home, which was the way back then in the 90s. There was no Zoom, and meetings were usually held over a nice cup of tea. Alan went to Geraldine's house regularly, and as well as sorting through her finances, he thoroughly enjoyed her company and that hot cuppa. On Alan's second visit to Geraldine's house, he took the authority forms, which would allow him access to her finances. The first thing that Alan needed to do was to get to grips with what was in the bags. He took several bags away with him, full of letters and documents, and when he arrived back at his office, he emptied it all out and organised it into piles on a large table. Once Alan had sifted through it, his next job was to prepare Geraldine's financial plan. And, as mentioned earlier, even at the age of 79, it's never too late. One of the things Alan loved about Geraldine was that she was very sprightly for her age. When she visited Alan at his office, she preferred to walk, insisting on the exercise. She was a small lady. In fact, when Alan thinks of her, he can still see her skipping off the pavement to the bus stop to go shopping, refusing point blank Alan's offer to give her a lift. Actually, during one of Alan's many discussions with Geraldine, she told him that she had relations who'd emigrated to Australia years ago. It was one of her dreams to visit them, but she felt she couldn't afford to do so. Alan was determined to make that happen for her. Once he'd organised her finances, Geraldine discovered that she had more than enough money to make the trip to Oz. In fact, she made the trip twice in 2 years, age 80 and 82. Alan still has her postcard on his wall that she sent to him from Perth in 1999. The important aspect to take from this story is that a financial plan is essential, no matter your age. It might sound rather grand, but it's not. Even at the age of 79, a financial plan was vital for Geraldine's life, especially as she had no idea what the paperwork meant. And in doing a financial plan, she could visit Oz and stop living on a shoestring, as she'd done for years before. When Alan put her financial plan into place, Geraldine was amazed to discover that the paperwork she hadn't been able to decipher gave her more than enough money to live on and, importantly, enjoy life. Her husband had made investments with the Prudential and Legal & General. There was quite a bit of money there. She just didn't know where to look for it. Alan helped her uncover it and understand what she had in a rational manner. Let Alan put this into perspective for you. Before he met Geraldine, she was living with 1 bar on her electric fire to keep warm, frightened to turn the heating up because she didn't think she could afford to. The reality was she could afford to turn it up full blast. Another thing to take from this story is that so many people don't actually know what they've got. Regularly, Alan comes across stories relayed to him by clients, friends, and even in the news about millions of pounds lost in national savings and pensions, not to mention other places. As is the way at Interface, Geraldine became so much more than a client. One Christmas day, Alan and his family invited her for lunch when they found out she was on her own. Alan also helped her to buy a new fridge when her old one broke down. Alan still has a picture of Geraldine at the family Christmas Day lunch in 2005, where she's happily sitting with a glass of sherry in Alan's conservatory. Unfortunately, a year later in 2006, Geraldine's health began to deteriorate, so the team applied for a carer and an attendance allowance. Alan would love to say that Geraldine's story had a happy ending, but unfortunately it didn't. Her nieces and nephews, who hadn't seen her for many years, appeared, sensing that her house would need to be sold and her investments would provide them with an inheritance. This was in the days before LPAs, which didn't come into effect until October 2007. At the time, it meant that care was deferred to next of kin. Alan specifically remembers a very uncomfortable meeting with one of Geraldine's cousins, who aggressively accused Alan of trying to steal her money. He thought that Geraldine, spending some of her money to visit Australia, had deprived him of some of his inheritance. Her remaining family whisked Geraldine off to a home in Cambridgeshire, and she died shortly afterwards. Did Interface make any money from having Geraldine as a client? The answer to that is very little, if anything, at all. However, does the team feel good knowing that they helped her over the last 10 years of her life? Yes, because that's what the team does at Interface. Clients come first, money comes second. Finally, if you've never put a financial plan in place, Alan urges you to consider it. It doesn't matter how old you are, although obviously the younger you are, the more you'll benefit. It's all about perspective. In doing so, you will be able to clarify your investments, what they can do for you, what you can afford to do, and what you can plan for. Thank you.
For more information, visit our website at interfacefinancialplanning.co.uk.